Hello and welcome to a special edition of Updog Sports Talk. We have two guests on the show today. Bobby Wilson and Omar have joined us. Omar of the Hardware Podcast, the Cornacchia Bulls, and I can keep going with his introduction. Bobby of the TNT College Football Podcast. If you've followed us for a while now, I'm sure you're familiar with both of them because, obviously we all interact with each other a lot, and they have been on this podcast many times before. Tonight, we have a special edition of the show. One of the coolest things we thought of is just it would be really cool to see certain programs bring football back. You see a lot of programs that play basketball. They're fun to follow in that sport, but man, football is just there's something special about football. And so tonight we're just gonna have fun with it and really just we're going each of us are having our own criteria and everything and yeah, so you guys can kind of give like an idea, I guess maybe just kind of off the bat here, what your criteria, what you're looking for in the teams you're going to be drafting. And I'll also mention this is going to be a snake draft. So we'll be doing 5 rounds. We'll also rapid fire 5 teams at the end from each of us, but we'll be primarily focusing on our first 5 rounds. It'll be a snake draft. So, but yeah, I'll pass it off to Bobby first. What kind of criteria are you looking for with these teams?
Well, for me personally, I'm kind of looking at some of these teams that are potential rivals for some other teams currently. I mean, I think a lot of people know me as the Yukon guy, so there may be a few Big East teams that I mentioned. I also might mention one that I live very close to, just for selfish reasons, as a basketball ticket holder. But nonetheless, I, I'm kind of looking at it as okay, how can we have some of these teams that would be rivals with some current FBS teams? Is kind of my thought, and then there's some other ones that we can mention down the road too that I think could be really fun, like members that could jump into some of the Group of Six conferences, and we could kind of see where that would go.
Absolutely, very cool. And then Omar?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Bobby, like the rivalry aspect is interesting for me. Like that's part of it, but also too like historical significance is a big thing for me for some of mine. Um, Tiny bit like state like potential stadiums as well, and then also a tiny bit like location in terms of like a cool place where people would want to travel to go watch football. So no, those are my criterions.
Very cool. Yeah. And one of the other ones I'll kind of add in is I'm also looking at areas that don't currently have college football, or really a lot of sports in general. So that'll be kind of something to look out for. So, in all reality, our draft order got decided by our intern who made the graphic for this show. Um, so he put me first, Omar second, and Bobby third, and then we'll snake in the opposite order in the next round. So I'm going to go ahead and go first. And of course, I gave my number one pick away with my hat. I'm going with the Vermont Catamounts. The state of Vermont does not have a D1 program currently. That needs to change. I think Vermont, if they roll it out right, and of course, I think at this point, we may all reference this at some point, but UTRGV really set the standard for rolling out a football program and building excitement in your region. If Vermont were to follow a strategy like that, I think they can really help just get that state excited about football. And there's so many good regional rivals in the area too. You've got New Hampshire, you have Maine, and maybe down the line, this is one of Omar's big things that he's been pitching on. Maybe this can open up the window for the Yankee conference to come back.
Yeah, I mean, technically the Yankee conference kind of did come back, I guess, in name only, but I've kind of been on the scoop more or less, aka texting the guy that brought it back, saying like, "Hey, is there a plan?" No, there's not. Then just like wait a couple months. But yeah, in a similar vein for my first pick, like Vermont, I like that a lot, really. Also, like, don't forget about the Middlebury Panthers. They got a great program out there in the NESCAC and D3 out in Vermont. But I'm going with Boston University. I told you that this wasn't a giveaway. It was a little bit of a Trojan horse. But I'm going with
Ooh,
Boston University because I think right now where the Coastal Athletic Association is like right now, geographically, UMass has left a huge gap in the state of Massachusetts. In that conference, they haven't been back in the state since. And Boston University would put them back in the Coastal Athletic Association, and it would also bring it back to its roots because if there's, I guess, a conference that's been as maligned and controversial in terms of its membership changes and reloading, aside from Conference USA, then it's the CAA. Like everyone at the FCS has said, this is not the same conference, and it's kind of true. Boston University would kind of bring that conference back to that, I think, and also to just the rivalry potential with the newer Massachusetts schools in the Northeast Conference as well. I mean, you got Stonehill, Merrimack's an independent that will definitely make some space in their schedule for Boston U, and then of course you have the potential for the Sacred Cod Trophy to come back. That was a three-way trophy with Boston University, Boston College, and Holy Cross. Maybe whoever has it can dig it back out of storage because there's no pictures of it surviving. Like no one knows what this thing looks like. But on a more serious note, like we saw kind of like what bringing back like one of those like old rivalries that Boston College had, like in-state rivalries Boston College had. Like we saw how great that could be for the state, like in 2023, which hurts me to bring up with Holy Cross taking Boston College to the wire in that game. It hurts to talk about now because I don't know if that's ever gonna happen in my lifetime again. That was Holy Cross's best shot, but again, like it really brought nostalgia back to the state. So I'm going Boston University with my number one Trojan horse pick.
Do we know who won that series last? Like who has the trophy last? Because usually, if that team loses, they're gonna lose the trophy.
Holy Cross. It says Holy Cross is a current holder.
Very nice.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Omar. What do you say then when Boston doesn't care about Boston College football? Why would they care about Boston University?
So I guess with Boston University, there isn't as much pressure for the city to care about Boston University as well. And I do think that, I mean, if they can keep costs low, there's a big opportunity to keep costs low, I think, for where to kind of like balance that lack of attendance. Like you can easily have a non-conference schedule of Holy Cross, Harvard, Stonehill, Merrimack, and a FBS game, and you can save money there. But yeah, I guess I never said that the people in Boston were going to care about Boston University
This is true.
football, but I mean, I guess it would be nice to have. Really, I wouldn't mind like crowds of 1,000 seeing the Terriers
I
play.
mean, you're right though. I mean, there's so many teams in that vicinity that they can play. That's there's so many teams that are like them or, institutionally that are right in that vicinity. So I mean,
Yeah,
it makes a ton of sense.
yeah.
You want me to give my pick? I think it's
Yep.
if those of you don't know, okay. I live in Central Illinois, okay, and I am a Bradley basketball ticket holder. Go to games frequently. I would love to see Bradley football come back. Haven't played since 1970 was the last year they played. Illinois State could really use a rival. Obviously, the war on 74 in basketball is as good as it gets. Honestly, from a mid-major perspective, there's a lot of hatred between the two programs. And you're going to really see that this year with Demarion Burch going from Bradley to Illinois State in basketball, which is bizarre to me for your senior year. Why would you play for one team for 3 years and then transfer to the other for your last year? Don't get me started. But this will never happen, though, because Bradley has flat out said that they will never have football again. But for me personally, I would love it because Peoria, honestly, this area has a very good base for recruiting athletes that would be at that level. Now, I think we all understand Bradley's not going to go FBS football. They would be FCS, Missouri Valley football, which is obviously as good as it gets at that level. But in this area, especially in Central Illinois where I am, this is a huge. It's a really good area when it comes to that level of player. There's been guys that are high major players. Max Suter from Dunlap's going to Alabama this year. I mean, there's guys that are high level players, but a lot of the guys in this area fit the Illinois states, Western Illinois, Eastern Illinois programs like that. So I think if Bradley did want to bring football back, that they could have a very successful program. Um, and Peoria is a cool city too. I mean, I live here. I go to Peoria very frequently. I mean, it's a cool place, and I think they could get kids that would want to be here. Where would they build the stadium? That I Bradley's campus is in like on the hilltop, and there's not really a place to build a football stadium, so that could be interesting. But we've seen programs do it. They can make.
Yeah, yeah, and again, like a lot of cool regional rivals there, even beyond Illinois State. You have the potential to play all of those directional Illinois teams: Southern Illinois, Eastern Illinois, Western Illinois. SEMO is not really that far away either. So I think you're really setting yourself up with a good one there.
Yeah, I just think, like you said, that there's so much here that they can, like you said, they can play all those other schools, but then at the same time too, there's just a lot in this base where I think that they could really, if they ever wanted to, that they could really make something.
Yeah, absolutely. Now snake it back to you for the second round.
So this next one, I'm gonna go with my Yukon roots here on this one because these fans are always in Yukon's comments whenever we're talking about football, and they don't even have a football team. So stop commenting on it, for goodness sake. Okay, and I'm gonna go with St. John's here because St. John's fans, for whatever reason, are always in my comments when I'm talking about football. Okay, you guys haven't had a football team for years, so why are you so worried about this? It doesn't bother me. It's just annoying. But in all seriousness, though, I think it'd be really cool if St. John's was able to bring their program back. We know New York City is might not necessarily be a college football town, but we know that there's athletes everywhere. So they would be able to pull guys in. I don't think that that's ever going to be a question that they could get guys to play at that program. It's a great institution. You get a great education. So I think that you're setting yourself up really well um, to have success if they wanted to do this. Let me look and see when just so I can remember when they played their last uh, football game. Um, 2002. So I mean, it's more recently um, compared to some of these others. I mean, you look at the list of some of these other programs they haven't played since like 1920 or 1930. I mean, this is a program that at least, or an institution that at least played football not that long ago in all our lifetimes. So, I mean, it wouldn't be out of the question um, for them to at least have the thought or the idea to make it happen. And I think that you could really put them a, in a would they be FBS independent like UConn is? I don't think UConn doesn't want to do that. So I would imagine St. John's doesn't want to do that. You could probably put them in the American Conference pretty easily from a football perspective. In some of the other Group of Six conferences, I mean, you could look at the MAC and the Conference USA and some of these others that they would fit in. Um, but the American likes the big city footprint, and obviously, what city's bigger than New York City?
Yeah, that's a good one. It would get them in that good region there, and there's a lot of regional rivals for St. John's as well. Like they could probably play Rutgers pretty consistently. I
Mm-hmm.
know Army's pretty booked up, but maybe down the line Army will have some availability. So I think that would be pretty
We'll play
cool.
them. We'll play them. You kind of play them. Let's go.
Okay, so for my pick, I guess. So before that, I do want to say with St. John's, I think Bobby, I think the Americans like very ambitious because like doing like St. John's was on my radar for my research, and everything I've read about them in the MAC with two A's and just that whole conference of football is just like a very wild, like honestly, like spin zone, honestly, like Twilight Zone. It's like did it exist? It was just like very low level FCS
Yeah.
football. I mean, I would like to see them like in either the Northeast Conference or the Pioneer League because Marist has like been needing a travel partner for so long. Like I just don't know how Maris makes it work at this point, honestly. But I choose not to question it because it's been, I think, almost 15 years that they've made it work. So I mean, clearly there hasn't really been any issues. But I'm sure they would love to have a travel partner in the Pioneer.
That's me selfishly wanting UConn to play them every year.
I mean, you still can. You still can. Like in 20,
True.
I remember in 2024 or 2025, one of those years before Army joined the American, like, we had Marist on the schedule. And I remember just looking at this and I'm like, is anyone going to ask why this game is on the schedule? Because it's not countable for bowl eligibility. Like, I get that it's a good event for the Hudson Valley and the Hudson Valley community is important, but it was just a very curious thing. It's like, nothing's stopping you guys from playing a PFL team, technically. Very, very low reward, a low reward endeavor.
Yeah.
But for my pick, I'm gonna go with a very unique institution. I'm gonna go with the Haskell Indian Nations University that last played
Ooh.
NAIA, and this is like a program that I definitely forgot about until someone. It was actually a Creighton football account, bring back Creighton football, which I don't know if Creighton's coming up later on. They're not on my board, but they just said, "Wow, like Haskell Indian Nations had such an amazing football stadium," and I think a few days after that. Justin, like you said, hey, let's do this defunct college teams draft, and I'm like, it's almost like it was meant to be. But I mean, I might go on a little tangent, like just because everyone remembers Carlisle, Jim Thorpe, Joe Guyon, all those guys, like you name it. So many legendary players that played at Carlisle. Haskell was like pretty much the Western version of that. Just and I was just amazed at their history. Like they played Alabama in 1908. They have 3 games against Notre Dame, or actually, sorry, 4 games against Notre Dame in 15, 16, 21, and 1932. They played the Quantico Marines at Yankee Stadium in 1923. They played at LA's Wrigley Field, the first home of the California Angels. Like they had some amazing seasons. Like in 1926, they went 12-0-1 when teams are, I think, only playing like 8 or so college games. Like they played 12 games and they beat Bucknell, Power in the East. They beat Michigan State. They tied Boston College at Braves Field. You look at 1904, they're 8-0-1 and they beat Texas, a team that they played 3 times. In 1913, they were 10-1 and they beat Texas A&M. And then arguably like my favorite and the greatest team, like I mean that 1926 team which I mentioned, but my favorite thing that I found researching this was on 1926 they had a fullback named Mays McLean who ran for 38 touchdowns on the year, and just with all the touchdowns, extra points, field goals combined, he scored 253 points, which I still believe is a college football record, which I think so. I don't think anyone's had 40 total touchdowns, like because it would take more than 40 to have that record. And they also beat Stanford allegedly. Well, I won't say allegedly, but they're reported to have beat Stanford, the 1926 national champions, in a scrimmage. It's just a shame that they couldn't make it work out, just with all the things like governmentally that that unit depend or sorry unit that school depends on. Um, it's just a shame that like when they came back in like the 2010s, they weren't really that competitive, but you could easily fit them in the NAIA. Like, of course, it's plenty of college, plenty of NAIA schools in Kansas. But I mean, when I look at a nice conference fit, I think like the Sooner Athletic Conference is good for them because like there's a lot of schools with like low funding there. Just like it's kind of like the island of misfit toys in the NAIA. You got like Arkansas Baptist, and then you got like Ottawa University, Arizona. Like so, I think they could fit well in a conference like that. But just for all this history, for their unique mission set as an institution and the population that they serve, I think it's just a shame that they just don't have football.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is a program with great historical significance. So yeah, that's a pretty cool one. That one was not on my radar. Nice work on that one.
Two things here.
And then
Two things. Hold on. This is why everyone should follow Omar. Honestly, is because of like
yes,
just every time. There's many reasons that I love talking with Omar, and he knows that. But like the knowledge that he has on some of these programs that most people don't even have any knowledge of is I give him so much credit for that. And two, he had a Freudian slip on his not only his profession but at the institution that he cheers for. And we can't fault him for that. But good job, Omar. That's a great poll.
Thank you, Bobby, thank you. I tried like the whole unit thing. Like I don't know where that came from, honestly, because like it's like government and stuff like that. Like it just yeah, but I really appreciate those kind words. Thank you.
That was so great. Um, but yeah, for mine, I'm gonna go with the Pacific Tigers, and this one kind of taken from campus tour a couple weeks back. I know like that's a program that he is really passionate about, and for good reason. Like I think there's a lot of great historical history with Pacific. I mean, his stat was 5% of the Super Bowl winning coaches coached at Pacific. So that's always a really good stat. And in general, like they were in the Big West before all of that folded. A lot of those Big West teams ended up moving up to FBS. So who knows where this program could have been had they not, not folded the program. But one of the other interesting things, I think this is the only time I've ever seen a team win two bowl games in the same year. December 13th, they won the Great Bowl over Utah. December 13th, 1947. They won the Great Bowl over Utah State. And then January 1st, they won the Raisin Bowl over Wichita State. I don't think I've ever seen a team play in two bowl games.
Well, it depends. How are you categorizing the current college football playoff?
Well, that is true. I mean, outside the college football playoff, we're not going to count that.
Right.
But in terms of normal bowl games, that was a very weird one to me. But yeah, just a program with such historical significance in an area in Stockton, California that does not have really. I mean, yes, you got a lot of big cities that are nearby, but that valley area there does not have really, they don't have a pro team, they don't have a college team. I think if you roll this program out very well, it could have a lot of success. And of course, again, what Mike mentioned in the show the other week, they have a lot of natural rivals at the FCS level right now. They could jump in and be that 14th team in the Big Sky very easily, and you have nice rivalries there with UC Davis and Cal Poly, and then you can schedule San Diego in the non-conference, and it's as simple as that. Like I think it'd be a pretty cool program.
I'm almost certain that
His dad did play there.
yeah, yep. Can we all
Yeah,
agree on this that the Big West should just bring back all those teams, and including maybe even the Northern Illinois Huskies?
yeah. But so this will be a little tidbit. Actually, you know what? This is. I think it's going to drop before this episode drops. But my state of the program for Northern Illinois, I am going to mention that this is not the first time they have done this. They did this before where they left the back. The first time around, they went independent for a little bit, but then they eventually joined the Big West, which is kind of a similar setup right now. Like this is not even the first time that NIU and San Jose State have been conference foes.
It's just amazing, isn't it?
You never know. History repeats itself. The WAC becomes a super conference and 16 teams, and then years later now, everyone else became one.
Well, technically, I guess the WAC kind of is like if you want to get into technicalities, I think the WAC kind of is a super conference right now with I forget the name of the joint venture between the UAC and the ASUN. I honestly don't. I think it's like the United Sun, whatever the
Something
venture
like
is. Like
that. Yeah.
technically the WAC is the UAC and they're combined with the ASUN and they're kind of almost like at 14, 15 teams. So like I guess you can kind of say that the WAC is a super conference again by a couple stretches of reasoning. So I guess we're back to the 90s.
That's so great. So I'll continue to snake back around here, and I was very torn in this one. I think I'm going to go with St. Louis here, the Billikens. So the
You
city of
took one of
St.
my
Louis
picks.
right now. I got one. The city of St. Louis right now, no longer has an NFL team. Their biggest college football team is Lindenwood, and nothing against Lindenwood, but I just think St. Louis with the amount of enrollment they have and really just overall, like they're pouring a ton into basketball right now. Like they have a better funding upside than Lindenwood would have. I think that this is an idea Omar would like, but I think that you could put St. Louis in the dome, um, make that allow that thing to be used in the fall. Obviously, it gets used in the spring for the Battlehawks, but yeah, give that place some usage. I think that could be pretty cool. They could start out they could start out as cheap as possible. They could join the Pioneer League, or they could try to be a little bit bolder, join the Missouri Valley. Obviously, a lot of natural fits there. And I think this program could even have the upside to eventually being the American.
You literally stole all my arguments.
I will say, Justin. I think it's kind of messed up that you say that there's no like that the biggest program is Lindenwood and they're in St. Charles when you have the 2025 Lakefront or Culver's Isthmus Bowl runner up Washington University right in the same city. I'm
They
upset that
play
you
in an
overlooked
Olympic
that.
stadium.
Exactly.
I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah, I mean that's disrespectful if we have any Washington University Bears fans, watching, which I don't know, I don't think we do, but it's
I apologize for the oversight.
They have a great basketball program, by the way, at Wash U. Unreal.
whose pick is it? I'm sorry, like I don't do fantasy drafts, like I don't like the snake
I
format.
think,
It's
yeah,
you.
I think we staked back to you.
Okay, do we skip? Because okay, yeah, I'm like it's been a while since Bobby picked, so okay, so and I have just one, right? Is it just
Yes.
one?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
okay. 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 So for my pick, I am going with I'm going with an HBCU, but I'm gonna go with the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, aka Maryland State back in the day. And I mean, obviously they'd fit in the MEAC. The MEAC needs football playing schools, but you just look at some of the players that have gone had went to Maryland State at the time, Maryland Eastern Shore. Everyone knows about Art Shell, which is like a weird note. It's just weird to think of Art Shell like the one year he came back in '06 as a Raiders head coach because it's really a shame that was my introduction to Art Shell as a kid. Such a great player, the first African American coach in the NFL, and then he was on like arguably the worst. He coached arguably the worst Raiders team of all time. I just remember how bad that team was with like I think their quarterbacks Aaron Brooks and Andrew Walters threw for a combined 6 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. Yeah, just dreadful. But Art Shell, Hall of Famer. Johnny Sample had 7 interceptions on the '68 Jets. From there, Emerson Boozer, of course, the other half of Snell and Boozer, that great halfback duo for the '68 Jets that get overshadowed by Joe Namath's. We're gonna win the game, I guarantee it. I know that's a good Joe Namath. Roger Brown, 6-time Pro Bowler, and then Bill Thompson, someone I just learned about today. Because anytime I feel like there's like this like strange mystique with like the Orange Crush, because the Broncos were just horrible just before that team. He was an All Pro on that, All Pro defensive back on that. But with that, I think things could get interesting with Maryland Eastern Shore with them in Morgan State. I really feel like that could quickly become one of the best rivalries in black college football just immediately. Like just um, the proximity, the tradition between the two, the fact that like if you look in that like mid-Atlantic area, like there really isn't a powerful HBCU. You got Howard, you got Morgan State, got Delaware State, you got Hampton, you got Norfolk State, like that Virginia, Maryland, DC area. But like none of them have like really been like quite powerful in that time. So like it would be interesting to see all those schools kind of like vie for that crown and like have Maryland Eastern Shore as well. And you have another Lambert Cup eligible team too, so like that never hurts anyone. So for all those reasons, I want to bring back on Maryland Eastern Shore.
I like that. The MEAC, obviously, I know the 5 week sprint is a lot of fun, but the MEAC could really stand to have some more teams in football. So they fill a perfect hole there.
Absolutely. Even though like I'm waiting for the chaos scenario of we us having a losing team in the MEAC, a team that goes 4-1 in the MEAC and goes, let's see, because they play 12 games, so they go like 0-7 non-conference. So we have a 4-8 Celebration Bowl team, which Well, I just want chaos with that. That's like, that would just be an insane. And then if they end up winning that game, like who do you even name as Black College national champions? A 5-8 team? It's just wild. Like I dream of the chaos. Well, I mean, you just mentioned 5 game sprint. That has nothing to do with UMass, but yeah, I mean that's the dream of mine.
NC Central is going to do that eventually. They're aggressive with their non-conference scheduling, so it's very realistic.
Well, you ready for me to make my pick? I'm gonna go with
Yeah, go
another
for it.
Big East rival. Okay, a team that had success as a football program, Xavier University. I think a lot of people will probably
Ooh,
remember them from We Are Marshall, um, playing against the Marshall team after those events that occurred, of course. But Xavier had a very successful program until it ended in the 70s. Um, and I just think it'd be great to have the crosstown rivalry. It's one of the best in college basketball, honestly. It's one of those under the radar games each and every year that people should look for in Cincinnati against Xavier. Um, and I just think it'd be great in football as well. I think that they could be a team like we've kind of talked about here. You could put them in maybe at the beginning they go Pioneer League, like we kind of said, but then they could even move up to say like OVC. You could even the Missouri Valley's probably a stretch going out that east. Um, but I think that there's definitely, I mean, you could build up this program, and what's stopping the American from having another team in Cincinnati?
yeah, absolutely, man. That so earlier I got one of your picks. This one was one of the ones on my board for sure. Obviously, you had to figure that was coming at some point because Cincinnati local. That was one of the teams high on my radar. And they came close. Like they threw it around just even a couple years ago, potentially bringing it back. And event they ended up deciding to do something academic on like I think it was like a new building or something instead. But I think it would be really cool to have Xavier football back, even just like starting out like in the Pioneer League, like you said, being a natural rival to Dayton. In the Big East, already a rival of Butler as well. So I think those would be pretty cool games.
I agree, absolutely.
I have a dumb joke to make. I'm sorry, you guys are probably gonna roll your eyes at this. I think, in an age where everyone loves like, social media like stunts, exposure, why not have after Xavier Restrepo's playing days are over, have him be the first head coach of Xavier University? Like Xavier coaching Xavier. Like, I'm sorry. You guys should move me from this right now, but that was the first thing that popped in my head. I thought Xavier Restrepo.
Since we're talking about Xavier, we'll just do this.
And he can do that every time he walks out of the tunnel, hype up the crowd and get
That's great.
That's so funny.
So for my next pick, I'm going to pick a program that or an institution that I've always wanted to see have a football team or have a football team back. And that's the University of North Carolina at Asheville. Have either of you ever been to Asheville?
Yes.
It is one of the
Yes,
most
I love
beautiful
Asheville.
places in the country.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
absolutely beautiful.
yes.
And I think it's in a spot. Obviously North Carolina has a ton of teams, so you could put them almost anywhere from a conference perspective because there's just so much there. FCS, FBS, you can just I mean, there's so much going on there. So it fits well, and then it's just like I said, it's one of the most beautiful places in the country. But there's so many rivalries that you could pull from the state of North Carolina. You can even go into Tennessee with like Chattanooga, and there's just so much that you could do here. And I've had some conversations with some people before too. Like, where's a place that or a program that you would like to see come back? And I've actually had a couple people say UNC Asheville to me when I've had this conversation. So that's kind of one to me. Like, it's just like to me, it's just like, man, that'd be a really cool spot. Could you imagine like going to a game? Like everybody knows App State and the scenery they have, and like Western Carolina has a beautiful scenery as well in the mountains, and like Asheville would be the same way. It'd just be like one of those spots where it's like, man, this is a great place to watch a football
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good one. That one was not on my radar, and it should have been because yeah, that's a really good booming area that people are moving to, where you could get a football program started and try to rally the community around it.
game. Absolutely. I didn't even think about that aspect with how much it's growing. That's a great point too.
Yeah, I love Asheville. It's funny because I remember seeing like they move. I guess like I would see like from time to time like neutral basketball games in Asheville, and I'm like, why would they want to go to this small town in North Carolina anyways? And then like I finally went when I lived in Georgia for about 6 months, and I was like, wow, I understand it now. Like went to the Asheville championship, the first one in 2021. I'm like, this is like the drive over. I was like, wow, like this is like this is what Dolly Parton was talking about.
It is. It's just
Yeah,
beautiful. It's such a good place.
yeah, amazing. And I think they could fit right into SoCon, or if you want to put them in the OVC, that could work too. There's a lot of great options there at the FCS level.
Yeah, yeah. I just think that, like I said, there's so many things that you could do with them. You really could.
Whose pick? I'm sorry.
It's your turn.
It's your turn.
It just confused. Like I'm like getting the numbers in my head. I'm like telling myself like, okay, 3-1-2, 2-3. I'm like telling myself that. Okay,
You always bridge the gap between Bobby and I.
okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I need to play fantasy football more. That's all this is telling me right now. But for my pick, I'm gonna go for my fourth pick. Yeah, my fourth pick. I'm gonna go with a Division 3 program that had a really long history. Ended their program in 2000, but it's I mean in a weird way, like we probably wouldn't have college football without them today. I'm gonna go with Swarthmore out in Pennsylvania. And they're a team that, like, looking on the Wikipedia page, that they were the 15th program to start football, and I'm like, wow, like, that's a pretty low number in terms of like, having like that ranking of starting football. I started in 1878, and they didn't really have like super great success, but early on, like they played against the sports like first blue blood in UPenn. They played 35 games from the 1870s all the way to the 30s, and they went 4-30-1 in those games. But it's just one of those things where it's like where you're associated with such like a great program like that, like it kind of like builds a brand in itself. Like in the same way that even though Navy loses to Notre Dame all the time, like just the fact that they have that series with Notre Dame like gives that program like an added level of prestige. But to like the more important part, like without Swarthmore, we arguably wouldn't have college football because Teddy Roosevelt saw a picture of their bloodied All-American lineman Tiny Maxwell, and that was the reason that Teddy Roosevelt called for reform. That's something I didn't even know until doing research for this. I thought, okay, like just like going down the line, this program looks pretty old. And I'm like, okay, what All Americans do they have? And then I saw that, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Like that we probably wouldn't have college football in the same way we wouldn't have the forward pass. Which listening to your podcast, Justin, with Mike from CFP Campus Tour, like him mentioning Harvard Stadium, we wouldn't have the forward pass without Harvard Stadium. We probably wouldn't have college football in a weird way without Swarthmore. And I think like conference fit too. Like the President's Athletic Conference out there in Division 3 does not need any more teams. Like they don't even play non-conference games. But why not? Like why not just throw another team in the mix there? But yeah, I'm going with Swarthmore.
Man, what a poll that was. I mean, the historical nuggets, like I don't even have words for. That was pretty incredible. I also have to say it is going to be very interesting because our intern is going to be plugging in all the logos from this. So you're really making him work.
Not my intention. Not my intention.
Oh,
You can find a lot of these. You can
you're
find a
gonna have
lot
to
of
pay that intern.
these.
Poor intern tones. Uh,
No, in all
it's
seriousness, though, I did see a documentary about that Roosevelt, in the aspect of him. Um, when it came to reforming college football in that way. So I do know what you're actually talking about, Omar. I remember, I can't, it might have been like a PBS thing or something. I can't remember, but I do remember seeing something um, with this. So again, great poll. Great job.
Thank you, thank you.
Man, absolutely incredible. You just don't know what nuggets you're going to get here. All right, so I got two left here. There's actually quite a few teams that were on my board, and I find myself very torn at this moment. These are my final two picks, so I really got to choose wisely here. Um, you know what? To start off, we're going to go with Pepperdine. Now, this one is kind of a bit of a dream, a little bit. There is no way that campus has any room to put a football stadium up, but just imagine they could. Having
Put
that
it in the ocean.
stadium. Well, I was gonna say having the mountains on one side, the ocean on the other, like you could have that's an incredible stadium backdrop, and you could pull it off. In Malibu, like I'm sure there's a lot of alums that can help fund the program and everything. And again, like we just need if we could see a revival of these California football teams, like we saw a lot of them fold, I think it'd be pretty cool. And Pepperdine definitely would be a huge part of that. And again, kind of what I said with Pacific earlier, a lot of natural rivals in the area too.
I think with that you have to force Gonzaga to have a football team too because we need Pepperdine to beat them at something. I'm sorry. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
I'm sorry.
Well, we all
which,
know
which,
why Gonzaga needs a football team now because just the Pac-12 needs members. So there's
yeah.
Pac-12 to solve for them.
Yeah, now that I think of it, Pepperdine or Pacific could join the Pac-12.
They're probably not going to get any arguments either.
Just anybody but Sacramento State.
Oh man, not a good day. I don't know if you guys saw the story today. Not a good day though about the FCS game payouts or FBS payouts. Yeah, not a good day for that program.
Yes.
Ooh,
But I'm giving them a chance. Yeah, I'm giving Sac State a chance. I'm a glass half full guy.
yeah.
No
Obviously, as
comment.
a Mexican guy, I'm rooting for it to work out, but lots of interesting stuff going on there. Okay, yeah, it's my pick again. I almost forgot. I we see the snake draft gets all of us sometimes. Um, I'm gonna go with this. You know what? We talked about Gonzaga. I mean, why not? I think we made the argument a lot already. Like they they have a very good prestigious program. I think if you roll out football with a lot of excitement, you could really get a lot of people behind the program. They would make they would get into Pac-12, be already a great rival for Washington State, for Boise State. Actually, the funny thing was when I looked up Gonzaga football before this, I actually found out their only rival in football was Idaho. So
To the
that was
Kibby
very interesting. Yeah. So maybe during your transition year, you get them into the Kibby Dome, play their old rivals, the Vandals, and then work their way up to the Pac-12.
I will say as a long ICCU dome slash Holt Dome defender, I think it's kind of wrong that all this Kibby Dome hype, like Kibby Dome this, Kibby Dome that, when the ICCU dome came first. Like I just think it's unfair that just because the Kibby Dome was in a a video game that it gets all the love and we forget about the ICCU dome. Like I'm sorry, it irks me. I'm just saying. I
Yeah,
try
I
to.
actually put that in my article this week that the ICCU Dome came first, Holt Arena.
It's a shame. No one cares. It's because people play too much video games.
I'm actually more of a fan of Northern Arizona. I think it's just a
Oh yeah.
beautiful
The walk-up Sky
setup.
Dome.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, Flagstaff is beautiful too.
It is. It is. Yeah, I want to get to the Sky Dome soon, and I feel like that's Flagstaff is one of the easier areas to convince my wife to go, so I know one of these years I'm going to get it done.
There's worse places you could go.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Bobby, back to, or
It's
Omar, back to
Omar.
you.
I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I'm okay. I'm just pointing fingers. Okay. Um. So
Man,
for my
I tried to steer us in the right direction, and I just end up making more confusion.
I'm a visual learner, so I just need a diagram with arrows and numbers like 1 to 2 to 3 to 1. That's what I need. I'm a visual learner. But with my last pick, I'm surprised none of you guys have picked this team. Just like with you, Bobby, like liking basketball a lot, and I mean Justin, like you too. Like I think LaSalle honestly is a program that I
Mm,
would like to see, and I think I just say this more because of what the Big Five has become. Like I saw multiple articles. I don't really watch college basketball. I didn't really have the time for it, but I somehow saw multiple articles from like Matt Brown, from other writers saying like, "Oh, what happened to the Big Five? Like the Big Five isn't what it used to be," and it's sad, really. Excuse me, but I think like if we can have some sort of that with like LaSalle, put LaSalle in the Northeast Conference as a football only member, keep them in the A10, of course, or you could put them in the CAA, of course, too, with Villanova, and then just have them play Villanova, have them play UPenn every year, Temple, throw them in the rotation a little bit. Like I think that would just be great, honestly, because they played in the MAC with two A's, way back like in the 90s and 2000s. But I just think like it's just a shame, honestly. I just kind of lament what happened to the Big Five, and I don't really have many regrets in life. I guess like now, like I can add the fact that I went to college in the Northeast and I never found my way down to Philadelphia for a Big Five game of any sort. Adds to it, like yeah, I just think it would just be good for football in the area for LaSalle and Villanova and Penn to all play each other in some sort of round robin, and then throw in the occasional Temple game.
yeah, that would be great, and even the Patriot League could work as well.
Mhm.
Which now that I think of it, I actually think that's where Villanova went this year. Can't keep track of all the FCS realignment.
I forgot about that.
Um,
Oh man, as a Holy Cross fan, I'm ashamed that I forgot about that because yeah,
Did we
wow, it was like
get?
a
Did we
mass
stump
effort.
Omar?
For a second,
we finally got him.
for a second, yeah, I'm ashamed that I didn't get that because I should. Yeah, I got to get back to the drawing board.
The amazing thing is, LaSalle at football just as recently as 2007. I
Yeah,
actually did not realize that. They actually entered my, they were not on my board initially, but they actually entered my board today just because, like, I was like, they actually played kind of recently.
yeah, it's crazy. I thought it was like early 2000s too, because like looking at some of the MAC teams, like St. John's, like I would have thought they ended like earlier too, but I just think a whole lot of no offense to that conference, I just think a whole lot of nothing was going on for like the last 5 or so years that like you could tell anyone that those programs shut down at any time and like they'd probably believe you because it's like a whole lot of like
Mhm.
nothingness was happening.
Well, you ready for my last pick? I think that this is a institution that we've seen in an FBS conference very recently that could bring back football and throw their hat in the ring and get back into that FBS conference, and that's the University of Arkansas Little Rock. They were in the Sun Belt for a long time, or maybe I shouldn't say a long time, but they were in the Sun Belt and they had good success from a basketball perspective. Um, they haven't had football since the 50s, but you look at them, and obviously they're in the South, a great recruiting area, obviously. But you look at some of the rivalries that they could potentially have with, say, Memphis and, of course, Arkansas State. You can even go further into Mississippi with some of the rivalries that they could have. But like I said, this was an institution that was a part of the Sun Belt, and basically they got to kind of run out of the Sun Belt because they didn't have football. So I mean, you add football, and maybe it could happen again. Maybe that there's too much bad blood and it could never happen. But I think that this is a place where obviously football is huge in the South. We know that, and you're in one of the bigger cities, like you can make it happen. I firmly believe.
Yeah, right now, Little Rock is one of those big cities as well. Like, not a big city, but it's a decent sized city that doesn't have any sort of, they don't have any pro sports or even college sports when it comes to football. And I know what I can't remember the name of the stadium, Omar, you probably remember, but we can finally put that stadium to good use as
War
well.
Memorial
War
Stadium. Yeah,
Memorial.
Yep.
got it marked to my calendar. Going, hopefully going this year, but it's a non-negotiable for
I
SCAC championship weekend.
I know this because Omar has talked to me so much about this.
I'm excited. Gallaudet, the weirdest conference move of the year. It's not Sacramento State. It's Gallaudet. Yeah,
Weirdest ever, yes.
yeah. Well, they're only in the conference for one game, but they can win the auto bid. Just keep that in mind.
Oh, that's so great. But yeah, I mean that is a really good one. I think that'd be pretty cool. And I mean, you think about the teams in Arkansas that are currently in at the FBS level, like they're all like the northern tips of the state. You don't really have a whole lot down in the middle there, and you're right in line with Texas and all that. Down, I've driven this highway twice. I can't remember what the name of it is. I-30 maybe from Texas. So I think that or 30 and 40 come together in Little Rock, and then one of them emerges.
I've never been, so I can't help you there.
I have to look at a map. I just know I-44. Honestly, that's all I know from out here in Oklahoma. I think it is I-40 though. I think it is 'cause I-40 is west, and yeah, I don't know.
Awesome. So now we're running a little bit short in time here, so we'll be doing we did a 10 round draft here, but we're going to do a rapid fire where we just name off five remaining teams. So we can kind of continue in the order that we would have been going. So Bobby, you'll go first. You'll name off your five, and then Omar, you'll name off your five, and then I'll name up my five and close it out.
Well, I think everybody will know that, excuse me, this first one that I'm going to mention is the selfish pick on my part. The University of Detroit Mercy. Anybody go look at
That's a
my
good one.
Twitter, go look at everything, know where I'm from, and you'll know where I'm coming from here. So let's just put a team in Detroit. Have them playing the GLIAC. I'm from Grand Valley State. Let's have another team. A lot of those teams, uh, sorry, Justin, this might offend you, but like Findlay ran off, didn't want to play us anymore. So let's add a team to the GLIAC that might want to play us. They can play Wayne State and be rivals because you can have it be the city series. I think that'd be really cool. Do you want me to continue? I'll
Yeah,
go.
there's a lot of good stuff
Okay.
there.
I'll
Yeah,
I'll go.
continue.
I'll go UIC, Illinois Chicago, because I think that
Mm.
um, if anybody's ever seen their baseball stadium, it is got one of the most beautiful backdrops in the country. It just overlooks the entire city. It's really, really cool. Um, you could have them join the FCS, and Chicago State might fold if that happened, but you could have it happen. You could. I don't mean that maliciously. I shouldn't have said that, but I think UIC is in a better spot to be able to do something like that. That they could make something happen from that regard. I think we mentioned Creighton earlier. I think that's I mean, you're in Omaha. University of Nebraska Omaha is another, like, you could almost partner those two together. Omaha, Nebraska Omaha had really good success at the Division II level back in the day. So I think that there's like you could partner those two together potentially. And another one I know that we haven't said that I think would really thrive is Wichita State. Um, they had a really good program back in the day, and they could just plug them right into the American where they're already at for their other programs, and I think that they would be able to have really good success from the get go. I've only heard good things about Wichita from I mean, I've never been, but a lot of people have told me that it's a really cool spot. And I think that obviously they had success in the past. Why couldn't they?
That's really good. I'm still surprised that like Omaha dropped football because, like you
Mhm.
said, they were successful at the D2 level. It's kind of surprising when they moved up, they chose to leave football behind.
Right.
But you
With
took a
Trev
few there
Alberts as
that
their AD.
yeah. In the state of Nebraska, like that is
Yeah,
you can't do that.
you can't do that.
That is a good series of picks though, and a lot of them I was considering as well. Wichita State was involved in one of the most hilarious games of all time. The most combined turnovers between two teams, Wichita State versus Florida State, in a frog strangling rain, is what this old timey newspaper article called it. I think they combined for like 24 turnovers or something ridiculous like that.
Beautiful. That's beautiful football.
The beautiful
Can I,
game.
can I add one more?
Maybe.
Okay.
Let's go
Yeah.
through Omar's picks and my
Yeah.
picks, and if they're not picked, you can bring them up.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So for my five, I'm gonna go with first Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I think
Mm.
that I know Justin, you guys are huge UTRGV fans. I know that those areas are somewhat close, Corpus Christi and Edinburgh, that valley. I know that there's some sort of rivalry too, or connection, because I think UTRGV has also played some basketball games out there near Corpus Christi or near South Padre in that area. I just think it would be cool just to have a team in Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi. I'm not hungry, I promise. Corpus Christi, but Corpus Christi, just like the whole island thing. I don't know how many teams are like on like kind of like islands other than Hawaii, of course. So that's my first one. Second one, Hofstra. I just think adding another team in New York to the CAA would be amazing. Rivalry with Stony Brook. They Hofstra cut their program just before Stony Brook entered the CAA, as far as I know. So that rivalry didn't have much time to heat up. Since Stony Brook was in the Big South, that could be one of that conference's better rivalries in football. Third, George Washington. I just think having a team. I think I can see George Washington playing games at Audi Field, and then maybe we have an actual college beer snake out there for like a college application of the beer snake. And plus, like I know Army played George Washington in the 60s at RFK. So there's like an alternate universe where George Washington keeps playing Army and they keep playing games at RFK. And it's just an interesting part of Army's history, just in an alternate universe. So that's my third. My fourth one, St. Peter's. I had to kick St. Peter's off because the only way that I justified them was they played at Roosevelt Stadium out there in Jersey City, which actually hosted 15 Brooklyn Dodgers baseball games in 1956 and 57 when the Dodgers were considering moving to LA, and Jackie Robinson played there, but that stadium no longer exists, so I couldn't justify it beyond that. And then my fifth one, I have Stillman in Alabama, NAIA HBCU, that played in the Turkey Day Classic twice in 2013 and 2014. That's one of my favorite HBCU classics. But they took Alabama State to the wire, an NAIA school. They took them to the wire in 2014, only lost 30 to 27, and even in 2013 they were competitive in that one, only lost 41 to 28. So with the Turkey Day Classic somewhat in doubt, with it only being extended 1 year, like maybe Stillman hops in, plays Tuskegee. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, those are my five UDFAs if we're using draft terminology.
I like that. By the way, so UTRGV or Texas A&M Corpus Christi is a rivalry in all the other sports called the South Texas Showdown is what it's known as. So bringing that to football and just getting those uniforms in
Yes.
football as well in that mascot, like that would be so great. And I love all the other picks too. I know Hofstra was going to be one of the ones I was going to bring up. Um, but now I guess Bobby, you one last comment on Omar's before I go through my five.
A side note for Stillman, my former boss at Eureka College, athletic director, was the athletic director at Stillman during those games that you were talking about, Omar. So,
Wow.
yeah, just interesting that you picked them.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of ran out of steam, honestly. Like I'm kind of glad we did five because like for 10, some of them would have been reaches. Like Stillman, like St. Peter's too would have been just like quick, like 30 seconds, and then like that's all I got, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the board starts to dry up a little
Just
bit,
do
but
like I did and just say pick Detroit Mercy because it's in Detroit, for goodness sake.
yeah, actually mentioning that, I'm gonna go with the Canisius Golden Griffins because they're in Buffalo. I was between them and Niagara, but Canisius had a lot more football history. Again, another one of those teams that all was a part of the whole failed MAC experiment Mac with the double A experiment and eventually just folded. It's actually really amazing how many of them folded at once. And then I'm going to go Long Beach State. I feel like they had a lot of really good football history. It would be really cool to see them return. And then also, I decided to go with a team that folded at the year I was born. I decided, you know what, I'm going to go with that. So Santa Clara, they folded in 1992. So we'll go with them as well. That gets me to three of them. You wore a Northeastern sweatshirt and did not pick them at all. So I feel bad for them. I'm going to pick them. Um, and then finally, number five, I'm going to go with they go by Wisconsin Milwaukee or just Milwaukee, but give us an FCS program or something like that in Wisconsin. I mean, they just have the Wisconsin Badgers. Milwaukee does not have a college football team at all, and they love football in the state. I think Milwaukee could be pretty successful.
MSOE is the D3 version in the city. I don't think Alverno has a team. Do they, Omar? Do they have a football team?
No, I don't think they do. I think that's an all women's school too. I think from what I was looking at Wikipedia
Yeah,
when
you're
I
right. You're right. You're
did
right.
that.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so I guess not. But flag football, I mean, maybe.
The only
So,
other one
Bobby,
that
you had
sorry, the only other one I wanted to add, and I was a little upset with myself for not including them, the University of Tampa, because
Ooh,
they have
ooh,
yeah.
they have a number one pick in the NFL draft, former number one pick, whose name is escaping me, but I know he was in the Goonies.
Matuzak, right? John
That's it.
Matuzak.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Yes. Thank you, Omar. I knew you would know it. They played in the '72 Tangerine Bowl against Kent State. I know we all remember that vividly. But I mean, they're in Tampa, Florida, for goodness sake. Why couldn't they have a good team? Like, I think that's all we really have to say. Like, they had a great team previously. They had a former number one pick, and they're in Tampa, Florida. I think that's all we need to say.
yeah, that's a good one. All right, well, that closes this out. This was a lot of fun. Let us know in the comments which picks you enjoyed the most, and of course, which teams you want to see bring football back. I think it's a fun sport, and it's really good to see programs kind of return. So for the sign off here, Bobby and Omar, you guys can kind of decide which order you want to go in, but you guys can sign off and let the listeners know where they can find you.
Go ahead, Omar.
Thanks, Bobby. So yeah, you can find me at Omar Rashan Borja on X, my name. I do a lot of stuff, redshirt sports mostly. Shout out James Singleton, good friend out there. Still working on, still building the site. After a few years, I think we have a good thing. Also write for Ask for Football, by the belt as well, doing mostly UMass stuff. And then Ask for Football for Army. But yeah, you can just find me doing much, even though in the next couple weeks I'm probably gonna lay low a little bit. Strongly advised by my wife to kind of lay low and relax. And to be honest with you, like I think it's time honestly lay low. Just like with all the research and all the transcribing from doing a bunch of interviews. But yeah, like you can just find me just providing general commentary on anything college football, and I mean indoor football too. I don't really take it as seriously, but voice in the indoor game. But yeah, and I mean, I try to be funny. Honestly, a lot of times jokes don't land, but I just try to be funny, especially with college football. So,
Well, I think everybody kind of knows where to find me, the TNT College Football Podcast. It's almost preview season. I think that's what a lot of people, they either know me for being the Yukon guy, not of the national media circles. That's what they refer to me as. And I'm fine with that. That's cool. I'm cool with that because Yukon football is something that's become near and dear to my heart. And I will gladly be the torchbearer. If it needs to be me, I'll do it. To just talk about the program in a positive light and the way that I feel it should be talked about. But again, it's almost preview season. A lot of people know me for breaking down every FBS team, and it's about that time. So feel free, follow the podcast Twitter account at TNT College Foot One. That's where you'll see those things. And um, Omar and I are going to be kind of working together, I guess we can say, with also doing it on Redshirt Sports as well. So Yeah, it's a labor of love, obviously. It takes a lot of work, but I love doing it, and I've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now, and it's a blast. So, as always, thank you for having us, though. We this has been a lot of fun. Like it was fun to like dive into some of these programs and kind of learn more about them, and like yeah, I had some fun with it, but it was really cool to like kind of look at some of these programs and be like, man, they really do this? It's just interesting to kind of look at.
Yeah, yeah, that was a really cool aspect of it. And I mean, I learned a lot tonight too. I mean, from both of you guys, really spitting out a lot of cool facts there. But yeah, obviously, thank you both for coming on the show. And Bobby, of course, looking forward to your previews. Those are always something I look forward to every single year. I make my own series of previews, and I look forward to reading others' previews as much as I look forward to putting them together myself. Um, so obviously, for me, it's more of a storytelling thing, and you can find those over on our Substack. And of course, also just you can find us here on YouTube, and this episode will also be recorded on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you find your podcasts. Make sure to follow us there. We will be taking a little bit of a summer break after this episode, so we'll probably end up with only one episode in the month of June, but we'll still be very active on social media, especially Twitter, and of course on our Substack as well. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful time.